On the subject of AAA, I want to show you a little bit of that in CCP as well, a little bit of a tour, and also another section that really doesn't tie in with the NA security, but it's an important part of CCP. I want you to see it, and when you do use AAA, it does tie in with that as well. So I think that's enough of a teaser. Let's go ahead and head over to Configure, and let's close router access because what we want is AAA. And you can click on Summary to see where to get started. We got that little box because I reset the connection, that little red X, but it went away quickly. And you see that we're pretty much starting from nothing because we don't have any servers and groups. We don't have any authentication policies, authorization policies, or accounting policies. And of course, that's the way it should be. So let's go ahead down to authentication policies. And we don't have any policies in place right now, and let's go ahead and click on Login. And you get to this point and you go up here and you're ready to add a little login policy in AAA, and they're all disabled. They're all grayed out. Why are they all grayed out? What do we always need to do before we get to this part of configuring AAA? We've got to enable it. We know how to do that with AAA new model at the command line. Let's go back here to AAA summary, and it did say up here in the corner in very small print, AAA is disabled, and here's your enable button. That one's hard to see at first because it's not like a lot of the other little buttons you see in CCP, and you're not really looking for it there, so it's really easy to gloss over it. And the message you get, Cisco CP will perform the following precautionary tasks while enabling AAA to prevent loss of access to the device. We talked about that in another lab. We don't want to do that. Configure authentication and authorization for Vty Lines. The local database will be used for both authentication and authorization. And then it mentions it will configure authentication for the console line. The local database will be used for authentication there. Do you want to enable it? Absolutely, I do. And let's just give that a moment. I believe we'll get a first. We got to get the config. And you can see the new model command right there at the top. And we'll just go ahead and click deliver. And we're done just that quick. You should get a confirm here very quickly that it has been successfully enabled. So there you go. So really then, if you wanted to go on with login, you can see there's a default policy here, default login, and method 1 is local. We saw all that just now. If you wanted to edit that, just click edit, go from there. If you want to add some methods, notice it mentions here you can specify up to 4. And if you put a TACAX group in there and then you said, wait a minute, I wanted that to be first, you could just highlight it and do the move up. So that's really all there is to it. There's really not much to AAA in the GUI and CCP. And if you just want to add one, you do that as well just by clicking add, and you're just starting from scratch. No big deal there. So again, I know you're just getting a taste of AAA in this particular course. There will be more of it waiting for you in the CCNP security, no doubt. But let me show you up here too as well under router access, because sometimes this will tie in with it as well, especially with VTY, because you can see in the router access section, you can see the user accounts, your VTY config, management access, and SSH. And notice, pardon me, notice that the username and password and privilege level that I've put in at the very beginning of this course, and I've put it on each time I've reloaded this router. Chris, the username is in clear text, password is encrypted, or asterisked out, I should say, and the privilege level is 15. If you wanted to edit that, user account through which Cisco CP invoked cannot be modified. Modifying this will disconnect Cisco CP session of the router. So basically the router just stopped you from locking yourself out, which is always a good thing. Let's check those VTY lines, and we know that the defaults here, you can see the line range is 0 through 4. Your exec timeout is set to 10. Your input and output protocols, etc. If you want to edit that, you just click edit. And here's what you get. You can select which lines you want it to be applied to. Your timeout again is 10 minutes, your exec timeout. Check boxes for your input and output protocols. Check boxes to select an inbound and outbound ACL, and your authentication policies as well. Management access. If you want to make a policy, this is where you do it. You start it by clicking add. And again, this is kind of beyond the Ccna security scope, but I want you to see it. And here's your source host network, your management interface, and your management protocols. And notice there's even a checkbox, Allow Cisco CP. And it says choose the protocols that can be allowed to manage the router from the above specified host network. So it's just making sure that you, as the manager, will be able to get to it. Now, this note is very small at the end, so let me read that to you. When management policies are added, the protocols Telnet, SSH, HTTP, and HTTPS are permitted only to the specified hosts and networks. Other hosts and networks are denied from accessing the router. So all good stuff to know. And SSH, you could see, if you saw that flip for just a moment, what it will say if you don't have SSH enabled, it's going to tell you you don't have it enabled. You need to press this button, generate a key. And you'll notice it flipped over to this, and it says the RSA key exists and SSH is enabled in your router. It's because I did all that when I was getting this router ready to run Cisco Configuration Professional. So just a little bonus there for you on your guided tour of AAA. You got a little bit of a taste of that, and your router access as well. So that is it for AAA for now. So head on to the next section, and I have a feeling we'll be looking at it again later with some different GUIs. So I'll see you in the next section.